In this video I'm going to talk a little about composting, because here at the hawthorn community we don't necessarily do it very well or very ordinarily. This that you can see in front of you now is reeds, cut reeds, and they're on what we call the non-woody habitat pile number 1. Let's get out the sun there. This is where we put things like reeds, which would be completely overwhelm the compost heap if we put this on the compost heap. Obviously you can see, I mean, it's just huge. And up this end there's some of the cuttings from the sea wall. When they cut the sea wall, we try to rake the cuttings off so that it will improve its biodiversity, so that we'll get more than just grass there. Well, that's the plan, and we do. We get all sorts of wildflowers, mostly early wildflowers. But I'm just going to show you a little bit more about what we do and some of how badly we do it. The main reason for having a habitat pile is that it would, as I say, it would overwhelm the compost heap. We gathered some straw earlier in the year, and this is it here. Oh, the sun's getting in there. I'll just turn the other way. There's the straw that we were given, and I've put that right next to the potato plot, which is here. Again, the sun's getting in the camera. This is the potato plot. I've put a new soil for life sign up there, so that it's recognised that we do support these things and they support us. I showed this in an earlier video, so I won't go into it too much, except you can see how the Phacelia is still growing, in spite of the fact we've had a couple of good frosts. But I'm going to go on to show you some of our other bits and pieces very quickly. There's quite a lot of walking, so I'll try to walk fairly quickly. What I'll do is I'll show you our ordinary, if there is such a thing as ordinary, compost heap. This gets very muddy here, as you can see. Although the soil isn't necessarily very wet, it still does get very muddy. Anyway, we're now passing. That building we've just passed is our study centre, the coastal park, we call it, study centre, and that is next to the pond. And this here are the reed beds up there, which I might do on another occasion, but at the moment I'm just going to show you the compost heap. And probably hear our generator running in the background. It's because the wind hasn't been blowing hard enough. So this is our compost heap. It's not a good example of a compost heap, I'm afraid. You'll see here, look, it's full of a lot of veg peelings, a little bit of paper, veg peelings, some tomatoes, plants. And not really an ideal mix for a compost heap. But then, I mean, you know, doing the compost is when somebody's asked to empty the bin from the kitchen onto the compost heap, so it just gets dumped there, as you can imagine. Anyway, so there's the compost heap, which we don't do very well. I'm just going to go past the and I suspect that many people don't do their compost very well. which is one of the reasons why I'm showing you, to show that, you know, even if you don't do it well, it's still worth doing. So just passing, there's the, oh, you can't see it, into the sun is the base of the wind turbine, and the generator's going there, as you can hear. But I'm showing you our woody habitat pile. We have some bamboo on site, and there's the cuttings from it stacked up to decompose slowly, and to produce a habitat while they're decomposing. A habitat for beetles, voles, mice, all sorts of things. And there's another one there that's had recent cuttings of rose and thornless blackberry. I've been pruning the thornless blackberry, so that's on there as well as well, all sorts of shrubby bits. I prefer, I mean, a lot of what we do at the community, we do because it's my good idea, I must admit. But one of the reasons that I like to keep the woody stuff separate from the normal compost is the last thing in the world you want when you're sorting out your compost is to come across a bramble full of thorns. And you know, so it's bad enough getting thorns in you when you have to handle it. Shouldn't be in your compost as well, as far as I'm concerned anyway. I think it's some Brent geese, I just said. Anyway, that's showing you the habitat piles and the compost heap. Okay.